Hello and welcome back to art class. Today I want to talk about value. Value is the property of color that determines how light or dark a color is. Today what we're going to be doing is creating a value scale. This is going to be something that will double as kind of muscle memory exercise for you, so you can kind of practice understanding how much pressure and what kind of pencil stroke it takes to create certain types of value. And it's also going to be a visual reference, so you understand how dark or how light various values are depending on those different ways of reaching them. The first thing I want you to do is to look for a pencil that says at least HB2. This one says soft on it. I don't know if you can see that right there, soft pencil. You want to look for a number that is as high as possible with the letter B on your pencil. A typical drawing pencil will have something like 6B on it, or 4B or 9B, and the higher the number, the softer the pencil. The softer the pencil, the darker the mark you can make with it. You might have at home something that is like a number 2 standard Ticonderoga pencil, something like this. That's going to be fine for this, but if you have a number of pencils, please don't use the ones that have the letter H on them. Go for the ones that say B and as high of a number as possible. We're going to start by just kind of practicing, again, this is in the muscles, so I want you to keep your wrist locked when you're doing this, and you're going to just kind of move back and forth. You want to hold the pencil at an angle so that you can see all the way around the tip whenever you're drawing. And you're going to move back and forth like this, and I'm just moving my wrist a little bit, and I'm pressing pretty hard to get as dark of a mark as possible. And what I want to do is make sure that I can fill in a whole area with those dark marks. So you see there's no pencil strokes coming through. I'm not doing this. So here I could see the paper in there. I want to not see the paper for like at least a square centimeter. If you're not sure what a square centimeter is, it's about the size of your pinky nail, or maybe one of your fingernails. So I want you to do this, and then what I want you to do is to practice gradually letting up on the pressure as you come down the page so that you get a smooth transition from dark all the way to a mark that's so light, it's just the color of the paper. And you see how this is smooth? Right here, if I do it sloppily, I can still see the paper in between the pencil strokes. I don't want to see that. I want to see a smooth transition, almost like a gradient, if you've ever used Photoshop or something like that. They use the term gradient in digital imaging to describe a transition. Now, as you're working from dark to light, you can sometimes go back in if you want to change how gradual or how sudden the transition happens. So for example, if I want the dark part to kind of last longer, I can go back into it. And again, I'm just moving my pencil back and forth gently. This is called hatching. And when you hatch, you should just be going back and forth in a tight zigzag. You shouldn't be scribbling like that. You should not be stippling like this. You should definitely not be going in different directions like that. It should just be a simple back and forth motion that comes quite naturally. And my hand is locked. None of my fingers are moving. I'm only moving from the wrist right now, and that's because I'm making this small gradient that's only about a centimeter wide. If I wanted it to be larger, you'd see I'd do this and my wrist starts to get locked, and I'm moving now from the elbow. So try it again. See if you can do a wider one. I didn't start as darkly this time, so let's go ahead and darken that up. And this is one of those exercises that you can practice in your sketchbook or on a piece of paper whenever you feel like it, like while you're watching TV or watching anything, yeah. Whatever you're doing. If you're having a conversation with somebody, you can do this You could do it during math class, but I really recommend that you pay attention during math. Math is important. And if you do this every day, you're going to get better at it, and you're going to be able to start shading really well. So now I've done a big one that kind of goes from dark to light. You can see a few pencil strokes in there, and I could go and clean it up a bit so that you don't. Now I get a lot of students who do this, and then what they want to do is they want to go in real fast with their finger and start smudging like this. And I don't want you to ever do that when you're working with graphite. And the reason is you lose control over the expressiveness of what your pencil can do, and you also lose control over the value that you put down. That's why you use the pressure from your hand on the paper. It's okay to smudge charcoal and other things like that, but with graphite pencil, I do not want you to ever smudge with your finger. It just doesn't look good. By all means, if you're creating art for your own purposes and you find that smudging is a good way to express something, go ahead and do it. But for my assignments, I would prefer that you do not ever do that. We've practiced going from dark to light. I also want you to practice going from light to dark. And I'm showing you going down the page. You can go across the page or whatever is comfortable for you. And again, I'm not holding the pencil like this the way I would if I was handwriting. I'm holding it away from the tip. I've got at least 1.5 inches or 2 inches from the tip there, and I can see all the way around the tip. And especially when I'm hatching or shading, I'm holding the pencil at quite a low angle, not a high angle like that. Okay, you see the difference? This is a low angle, this is a high angle. Let's look at it from the side. This would be a low angle, this would be a high angle. Once you've done that a few times, I think I'd like to see at least 3 examples of good transition making. I want you to turn your paper over or use another piece of paper, or you can use the same side of the paper if you have more room. I want you to draw 5 boxes. You can start by making one in the middle, one on the side, one on the other side, and boxes in between. These boxes should be about a square inch. If you're not sure how big an inch is, it's about the length of like one of your finger knuckles, like that. Maybe a little shorter, maybe about the same size, but probably not too much smaller than that. Please do not go smaller than this. What I want you to do now is to number them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And number 1, I want you to leave blank. Number 5, you're going to take your pencil and fill in as darkly as possible without showing any pencil strokes. You can go outside of the box, that's fine, but make sure you fill the box. Don't stay inside the box. Either go to the edge or go outside it. And I filled that in as darkly as possible, and now I need to sharpen my pencil. All right, I've sharpened my pencil, and now what I want to do is I want to create a value that's in between 5 and 1. 1 is the white of the paper, 5 is as dark as I could make it, and now 3 is going to be the midpoint between those two. I want to start with less pressure than I think I need, because it's way easier to go darker if I need to. And because I just sharpened my pencil, I have to work a little bit harder to make sure that those pencil strokes don't show up. And what I'm trying to do is to create one uniform, solid value through this whole box. How can I tell that this is the in-between value between 5 and 1? The easiest way is to squint at it. If you squint at this, what's going to happen is the values will kind of pop out at you. You'll see less nuance between light and dark. And what you want to do is, while you're squinting, you want to kind of keep working at this until it really looks like it's not closer to one or the other. If you squint and it looks really dark, then you've gone too dark. And if you squint and it looks like it's almost white, then you've gone too light. Once you've finished the middle box, I want you to do number 4 and number 2. 4 should be in between 3 and 5, right? So squinting again, I'm going to use at least as much pressure as I used for 3. So I'm going to get to that point first. So now I know that I'm like at about the same level as number 3. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the pressure slightly. And I'm going to keep going a little bit darker. If I switch off the camera light, it might be a little bit easier for you to actually see what this looks like. We've got a little bit of glare on the paper, so I'm going to kind of shield it from the light so that you can see what that transition looks like. So you can see 5 is quite dark indeed, 4 is a bit lighter, 3 is right in the middle. Maybe if I hold this up to the camera you can really tell. That's a good angle on it. And now let's look for the value in between 3 and 1. That should be fairly easy. We're going to start very light, very little pressure at all. And again, trying not to have any streaks or pencil marks in the box. And if I squint at this, again, it looks almost white. It should look like neither of these. So I'm going to add a little bit more pressure. And I don't have to go at the exact same angle. But what you don't want to do is go perpendicular to the last angle, because then you're going to get a weird crosshatch kind of iron grate thing. And you don't want that. Okay, I think that might have actually taken me a little bit too close to 3, but you can kind of see for yourself it's still in between. And that's basically it. This is a value scale. It's only a 5-point value scale. If you go to a proper art school, they're going to make you do this with like 9 or more different boxes. But of course, then you'll also have proper drawing pencils, and you'll be able to achieve a lot more nuance in between the values. That's what I want you to do for now. Please make sure that your boxes are separated. Don't just do like a rectangle and then divide it up. That's bad. I need the boxes to be separated so that you're not just creating a transition and then dividing it. So each box, one consistent value, 5 of them, going from light to as dark as possible. And transitions. Show me evidence of at least 3 good transitions from dark to light. Try and make one of them really wide, like bigger than a centimeter or a couple inches. All right? And again, you're trying to get rid of pencil strokes. Do not use your finger to smudge. Go back and forth with hatching. Do not scribble like this. I'm going to have the vocabulary up for you. Best of luck.